What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 7, Episode 13. Now let's get into it. Let's start off with Andre and Libby. So they're on their way to go meet with her two sisters, and Libby tells us that her family never really responded to her after she had posted her pregnancy announcement online. As we all know, she never told her sisters, her brother, or her mom in person. She only told her dad and her father-in-law in person that she was expecting her second child. And I don't know why she would think that they would reach out to her and be like, oh, congratulations, whatever, because you you didn't tell them in person something as important as you having your second child. You didn't even tell them in person. So I don't know why she thinks that it's odd that they haven't reached out to her. And she also tells us that there hasn't been much communication between her and her sisters since she had posted that. So when they get to the venue or wherever, the little restaurant that they were supposed to be meeting at, the sisters were not happy to see Andre there with her because they had only invited Libby. Now, Libby, I'm beginning to question your intelligence, because why you would bring Andre to this meeting when your sisters had only invited you is beyond me. This is a clear sign, Libby, that you are definitely emotionally and mentally abused by Andre, because either you wanted to bring him with you because you feel like you can't do anything without him, or he insisted on coming with you because he's so insecure about you meeting with your own family alone. And I think they even talked about this at the meeting. He was worried about her meeting with her sisters. Like he was trying to be protective. And the sisters were like, what are you talking about? We're her sisters. We're her family. Either you didn't want to do anything without him, or he felt like he had to be there just to make sure that your sisters were not going to say anything to you that would make Libby see the light. You know what I'm saying? He's so worried about the sisters' influence on her because it might kind of like clear away the fog that she's been under ever since she married this man. So the sisters believe that it was Andre's idea to not tell them that she was pregnant again, and to post it online instead, and for them to find out online, which I think is 100% true. I think that was all Andre. And of course, Libby's going to go along with whatever the hell Andre wants. Andre also thinks that their mother is like the ringleader in this whole anti-Andre campaign. I had no idea that Andre has such animosity towards their mother, but because their mother is so because their mother is so pro Charlie, the brother, I guess, automatically Andre doesn't see it for the mother and has complete disdain for the mother, which is absolutely crazy to me because she's a mom. She wants to be there and protect all of her children. This whole situation with Andre is just bananas. Libby, I'm really, really worried about you, girl. I'm seriously worried about you because as the show has gone on, the more that we have seen of Andre and Libby, and as the years have gone on and we're watching this relationship, this marriage progress, to me, it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. Whatever type of control that Andre has over Libby is just getting worse and worse. So then all of a sudden, the whole situation falls apart. They break out into a really bad argument. I think the brunette sister was trying to say something. Andre kept on interrupting her, and the blonde sister got really upset. So she got up and she started screaming in Andre's face. And she was so angry that she kind of like put her hands on Andre. And I couldn't really tell exactly what was being said because every other word was a cuss word and it was being bleeped out. But it was something to the effect of, Becky, the tall blonde one, was screaming at Andre that she wanted Andre to respect them. So after the dust had kind of settled a little bit, Becky was telling Libby that you don't even realize that you are being isolated and separated from your family because of this man. And she explained her behavior whenever she got up in Andre's face and was screaming at him and cussing him out, she said that she was triggered by a memory of Libby in high school getting beaten up by someone, by the lockers. So it was like her sisterly instinct like took over, and she felt this need to be very protective over Libby. And she's being protective over Libby because of Andre. And for her to be triggered by that memory of Libby being bullied makes me think that when she was yelling at Andre and Andre was yelling back at her and Jen, maybe she kind of felt like Andre was trying to bully them. And so, like, she just erupted. She kind of, because he was really bullying them because he wouldn't let them speak. He was extremely verbally abusive. And so that older sister, the older sister, Becky, just got up and it was all up in his face. I guess her protective instinct took over of her sisters. So Becky says that by Libby not telling her that she was pregnant again, it had really hurt her feelings because they were extremely close as sisters. And for, Libby to not tell them in person, just to put it up on social media, she said that really hurt her feelings. And Libby has the audacity to say that she had no idea that it would affect her sisters like this. Libby, I'm really questioning your intelligence and how your mind is working. You do need help, but I think what you need to have like individual counseling, or you and Andre seriously need marriage counseling. And the reason why they will never go to marriage counseling is because Libby thinks that there's nothing wrong with her relationship with Andre. She thinks that it's her family against her and Andre. But Libby, you need to, hopefully when they go see this counselor, if they do go see this family therapist, the family therapist will shine some light on her marriage to Andre, because Libby is so lost. She is so deeply lost. Maybe an outside person who's not a member of the family needs to shed some light on the situation that she's in, because she's not going to listen to her family at all. I don't know if she's listening to the people online. I'm pretty sure she sees the comments. But Libby, you and Andre if you want to stay in this marriage with this man, he needs therapy. You need therapy individually. And then y'all also need marital therapy, because I don't know. And Libby, you really should have just come alone. You really should have just come by yourself to hear your sisters out. The fact that you could not even show up to this meeting without that man, that says a whole hell of a lot. And what it's saying is nothing good about your marriage. And I can only imagine the yelling and the screaming that goes on in her home in front of her kid, because Andre yells all the time about every little thing. Like, he needs serious anger management. And I don't even know why. There's no way that anybody can make me believe that Andre is not yelling at the top of his lungs at Libby in front of their child. I just refuse to believe that. And he needs help. Libby, Andre needs help. You do too. Forget about everybody else needing counseling. You and Andre need it the most. Moving on. Jovi and Yara. So Jovi, Yara's mom, and Jovi's friend Talmadge, they're on their way to Germany to see Yara's friend who's escaped their home country to Germany because of what's going on in their home country. So Yara wanted to go to the store to buy her friend some stuff, clothes, whatever. And Jovi kept on asking, what are you going to buy her? What are you going to buy her? Like, what do you mean? What is she going to buy her? She's going to buy her things that she needs because she has left her war-torn country. What the hell are you talking about, Jovi? So the mother, so while her and her mom are in the store, because Jovi and his friend, they drove off, they just dropped them off. So while Yara and her mom are in the store shopping, the mother suggests to Yara that she should stay in Europe a little longer so that they can continue to help friends and family that are escaping their home country. The mom says that because, Jovi's going to be going back to work, you might as well just stay here a little bit longer because you're going to be home by yourself anyway. So Yara is definitely considering this idea. So now they're back in the car and they're on their way, continuing their trip to Germany. And Yara brings up staying in Europe a little bit longer to help out her friends and family. Now, Talmadge, Jovi's friend, he butts in. And he talks about how that's not a good idea and Yara needs to stay with Jovi and, his family back home in Louisiana. And I'm thinking to myself, Talmadge, do not get involved in other people's marital issues. Don't do it. Don't do it. don't do it. Even if you are asked to get involved, don't do it. Marital issues are extremely sensitive, extremely private, and when third parties interject themselves, not a good idea. Absolutely no bueno, especially if it's a good friend of one of the spouses. Because you start taking sides or you start expressing your very strong opinion when a couple is going through it, then you are going to not only now it's going to come to the point where that other spouse, where Yara, is not going to want nothing to do with you, because you're getting involved with her marriage, you're getting involved with her business, and you're taking her husband's side, which is against her side. So then she's not going to want to have anything to do with you. And then Jovi can't bring you around anywhere. So just stay out of married people's problems. So Jovi realizes that Yara tries to come up with a different reason every day to stay in Europe longer. First, it was she wanted to have her own apartment so that when she goes to see her mom, she's got somewhere to stay. Now she's saying that, I have to stay in Europe longer to help out my friends and my family that are in need, who are coming from my home country. So I need to stay for that reason. And so Jovi, he's not buying any of this. He's like, I'm not buying it. You just want to not be back home with me. So Jovi tells her to stop allowing her mom to influence her because he thinks that it has a lot to do with her mom. And Yara says that she's a grown woman and she can think for herself. And I do believe that. I don't think it's really her mom that's I can't see Yara being influenced by anybody. Yara is a very strong-willed individual. I can't see her being influenced. Yara wants to stay in Europe because Yara wants to stay in Europe. It's got nothing to do with anybody influencing her. And I think that Jovi doesn't want to realize that. So it's so much easier to blame her mom than to just accept the fact that for some reason, Jovi, your wife does not want to go back home with you. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's Louisiana. I don't know if it's your family or all of the above. But Yara does not want to go back home. And so she's coming up with all of these, convoluted ideas to not go back home with you. And you need to have a very serious one-on-one conversation with her. And just instead of like fighting it so hard, Jovi, why don't you try to listen to her and figure out why she's feeling the way that she's feeling? Moving on to Usman and Kim. So it's the last day in Sokoto, and Kim Kim is helping Usman decorate his house. And the reason why is because Usman wants her to leave her impression on his home so that when he looks at his house, he'll think of her. So that's why she's helping him decorate his house. And while she's in the back room getting something, he gets the ring out. He gets down on one knee so that when she comes back into the living room, he is already, ready to propose to her. So he proposes to Kim and he says, yes, this is a real diamond ring. I think it's interesting that he had to point that out, that it was a real diamond ring. So he proposes to her. She gets very, very emotional. I just can't take it seriously. So I can't pretend like I'm so happy for them and that I'm just gushing with emotions, because I'm not. I can't take it seriously. I think that Usman is playing Kim. I think that he has ulterior motives as far as why he wants to marry her. I don't know if it's for money. I don't know if it's for a green card. I don't know if it's for both. I don't know. But I don't trust Usman as far as I can throw him. So I did not get the feels like the way I normally do when people propose to one another. So it just did nothing for me. It left me very dead inside. So after that, they go back to the city that Kim is staying in. When she originally arrived in Nigeria, they're done with Sokoto. They got the mom's blessing, and so she's back at her hotel. So they decided to talk to an immigration lawyer to get some advice on this immigration process. And so Usman asks, the first thing that he asks the lawyer is if he can travel back and forth between the United States and Nigeria. And the lawyer's like, absolutely not, because you're not going to have your papers to travel back and forth. Like, what are you talking about? No, you can't. Once you start the K1 process, you have to stay in the United States. You have to show that that's where you want to be. You want to be in the United States, and that's why they should grant you United States citizenship. But if you're, taking a plane every other week to Nigeria, it shows that you have really no intent on staying in the United States permanently. So why should they grant you citizenship? So keep your butt in America once the process is started. So Kim, then, she's so excited and giddy. She just can't wait to read her little marriage contract to the lawyer. And so she's reading the marriage contract and all the things that are expected of her that she needs to do or that needs to be done in order for the family to be completely okay with Usman marrying her. So when she gets to the part about him, that she has to allow him to find a wife that can have his children, the lawyer is like, okay, like polygamy is illegal in the United States of America, so that's not going to be possible for him to marry another woman. And they ask her, but he won't be getting married in the United States to another female. He'll be getting married to in Nigeria. So does American law still apply in Nigeria? And the lawyer said polygamy is against the law. Like I stated before, it's against the law in the United States. And so, no, he cannot marry another woman in Nigeria or anywhere else. It's just not going to be allowed. It's prohibited. It's a crime. Okay. So now Kim is kind of like down in the dumps because she's like, well, if his family is going to know that he can't get married to another woman, then they're not going to allow him to marry me and blah, blah, blah. So she's only, she's selfishly only thinking of herself like, well, I cannot get what I want now because of this little thing called, federal law. So it's the day of Kim's departure, and she's packing up her bags, and they're talking about what the lawyer said. And Usman, always, the man with the plan, right? Nothing ever gets in his way. He says, well, don't worry about it, Kim. We're going to figure it out. We'll figure it out. Like, I don't know what's to figure out. You cannot have another wife if you want to be married to Kim and you're going through the K1 process. There's nothing to figure out. It is what it is. So they get to do they get to the airport? Yeah, they get to the airport, whatever. They say their goodbyes and, they're both crying. And even if they apply for the K1 visa, it can still take up to a year before Usman can come to the United States. And first of all, Usman and Kim should never have been on Happily Ever After because they're not married. They haven't even applied. They haven't even applied for the K1 process. So why the hell they're on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After? I don't know. There is no Happily Ever After because they're not even married yet. So I don't want to see Kim and Usman in any capacity on any franchise of 90 Day Fiancé until Usman is in the United States. As long as Usman is living in Nigeria and Kim has to travel back and forth, I don't want to see them because I don't want to see the same problems popping up that they have not resolved yet. Unless he is living in the United States or they have already applied for the K1 process and he's on his way to America, I don't want to see Kimberly and Usman ever in life again. I'm not interested in any of that until their relationship can progress forward in some fashion. But 2-3 years of her traveling to Nigeria and him playing these mind games on her, I'm not interested. Moving on to Bilal and Shida. So Shida really regrets how aggressive her friend Uterus came off with, how her friend Uterus came off to Bilal. And I'm like, girl, I don't know what you want us to say. You know what kind of man you have. And no matter how Uterus approached Bilal, whether she was going to be aggressive, a little bit more passive and sweet, it doesn't matter. Bilal doesn't seem like someone who wants to listen to an outside person tell him what to do with his marriage and his wife. So, Shida, you need to fight your own battle. You need to put on your big girl panties and you need to fight your own battle. This is the man that you wanted. This is the man that you approached in his DMs. This is the man that you flew from Trinidad to be with. This is the man that you said I do to. You chose this man. Okay, so you need to figure out how you're going to deal with him. I guess she realized she couldn't get much help from his mom and his sister, so now she's going to her friend who lives in England to try to help her out, to try to convince her man to give her some babies in a yoga studio. Shida, you're 37 years old, sweetheart. You need to figure it out on your own. Anywho, so Utrus says that Bilal tried to gaslight her. He basically tried to make her feel like, this was their breakdown in communication or whatever was somehow her fault. And she asked Shida, does he do the same thing to you? Hell yeah, he does. Yes, he gaslights Shida every single day. He makes her feel like she's the one that has the problem and not him, even though he was the one that promised her the stars and the moon, but refuses to deliver. But now it's all her fault. So Bilal, he didn't take to, okay. So after that, debacle of a dinner with Utrus, that night, Bilal did not speak with Shida at all. I'm pretty sure he gave her the cold treatment. I'm pretty sure that room must have been ice cold when they came back from dinner. So Utrus says that Shida has been making it too comfortable for Bilal and she needs to kind of rock the boat a little bit. And Shida immediately thinks that Utrus is referring to threatening Bilal with divorce. And so Shahida's like, I'm not gonna, we're Muslim and we don't really believe in divorce and blah, blah, blah. And Utrus is like, no, I'm not saying you should divorce him, but I think you need to make it a little bit uncomfortable for him because you made it just way too easy. So Shida is still hoping that Utrus can still somehow work her magic on Bilal. Okay, whatever. So back at the hotel room, Bilal and Shida are having a conversation about Utrus, and Shida is trying to do some damage control, trying to butter him up again so that he can talk to Utrus again, because she wants Utrus and Bilal to get along. In reality, she's probably thinking that Utrus is her best bet in convincing Bilal to give her what she wants. So Bilal says, I have no problem talking to Utrus, but she's going to have to apologize to me first for how she approached me. So he goes up to the the rooftop, I think, where Utrus is waiting for him. And when he arrives up there, he's like all smiles and charming and cheerful and happy. And so they sit down, they have a conversation. I have no idea if Utrus apologized. I think she did apologize to him. So then they start talking about the prenuptial agreement. And Bilal says that he always had the intention to help Shida with her yoga business. Not studio. He said business. So Utrus says, well, I understand that, Shida really wants to have her own space to do her yoga. And Bilal says, that really wasn't the agreement. The agreement was that I would help her with her business, not with her getting a studio. Like, all of a sudden, he's acting all brand new. He's like, where the hell did that come from? Her wanting a studio. I didn't know anything about that. I was going to help her with her business. I was going to help her with her website. Maybe I'll pass out a flyer or two. I'll spread the word around my office. But I ain't saying anything about no damn studio. Bilal being Bilal. So then Utrus, she's kind of confused about it, but she didn't really want to go too deeply into it because she was like, you can tell that she was probably thinking, okay, I'm not going to really dig deeper into that because maybe Shida presented it to me wrong. Maybe the agreement was just for him to help her with her yoga business, not necessarily getting her a studio, even though Bilal took her to meet up with his two co-workers who were going to show her a studio. Do y'all remember that from last week or whatever week it was? He took her to meet up with two of his realtor co-workers because they were going to show her a space for her to open up her yoga studio. And he even made a joke about it, like, well, we're not going to be signing a lease today or anything, but I just want her to look at some spaces for her yoga. He's a liar, manipulator. He's a liar. He's a manipulator. And he's kind of dangerous. So Then Uterus brings up babies. And Bilal says that he always wanted to have more children and that he's like, you know what, I don't want any kids right now, but we can start, possibly trying to have kids a year and a half from now. And so Uterus says, well, y'all went to the doctor and the doctor said that if she waits until she's 40, she'll have less than a 5% chance of conceiving. And Bilal was like, well, I didn't say that we had to wait 3 years before we can start having a baby. I only said that we have up to 3 years to try it for a baby. So once again, he's doing that Jedi mind trick. So he's taking everything that he told. He's trying to make it look like Shaida is the one that has got it all confused. Like Shaida is the one that's giving misinformation. And I think it's really sickening that he is willing to portray his wife as some blubbering idiot who cannot get her facts straight when she's conveying information to her friend. So now her friend is confused and probably doubting the things that Shaida told her because Bilal has a way of presenting it like what he's saying is fact. Because he says it so calmly, so smoothly, so matter-of-factly. He's like, I never said we had to wait 3 years. I just said that we have up until 3 years to have a baby. I never said I was going to get her a studio. We never talked about that. That's crazy. That's ludicrous. I only said I was going to help her with, putting up her damn website. So he talks about how, I don't really want any children now. I want to wait about a year and a half. But if she happened to come up pregnant, praise be to God, I will just accept it and, move on from there. And so that's when Uterus says that she's going to suggest to Shaida to conveniently forget to take her birth control. And I thought to myself, if you feel like you have to do that, this is not the man for you. This is not the marriage for you. You don't want to be scared to death to tell your husband that you're pregnant because, you got pregnant behind his back. You know what I mean? You got pregnant without him knowing, that you were trying to get pregnant. I don't think that's a good idea. If you're a married couple, should not be doing things like that, where you feel like, well, I'm just going to not take my birth control pills. And then if I end up pregnant, I'm just going to make it look like, I'm just as shocked as he is. If that's the kind of marriage that you have, that's not a good marriage. You need to look elsewhere. That's not how you want to conceive your child. But anyways, moving on. So I don't think, and also the fact that Uterus is saying this on camera, it kind of like defeats the whole plan, because if Shaida was to become pregnant, whether by accident or intentionally, like if she were to become pregnant within the next 6 months to a year or whatever, before Bilal is ready to, he's going to see this and he's going to be like, okay, so you got pregnant because you didn't take your birth control pill. So you basically manipulated me into fatherhood, which I really wasn't ready for. I really didn't want. And it's not right for a man to do that to a woman. And so it's not right for a woman to do that to a man. So, I mean, I understand, you want your friend to be happy. You want your friend to get what she's been wanting for so long, which is to have a child. I totally get it. But if you have to go to these lengths to get what you want out of your husband, to be this deceptive about something so important, I don't know. And also, Bilal seems like the kind of person, like if he were to find out, like if she got pregnant and then he found out that Uterus put this idea in her head to do it behind his back and, to conveniently not take her birth control pills or to forget to take her birth control pills. If Bilal were to find that out, he'd make her life a living hell. He would make her life, if he even continued with the marriage, he might find that as a reason to divorce her or request an annulment or whatever, because he'll be like, you went about this in a very deceptive way, so that's grounds for divorce. And then she's going to see herself as a single mom, because Bilal is just that kind of a person who would do that. Like, you did something behind my back that I did not agree to, so it's over. So you and your baby, good luck, have a great life. I'll be sending you checks every month, but I'm no longer in this marriage. So yeah, I don't think that was something that she should have said on camera. That's the kind of conversation that Utris should have had with Shida in private. And Bilal is just way too controlling to let something like that slide if he were to find out that, there was any possibility of Shida getting pregnant in this kind of a deceptive way. Moving on to Michael and Angela. Not much going on here. I really don't want to have to talk about these people. It's the day after he took down his damn Instagram. Angela believes now that the man she fell in love with is still there. So he's no longer a conniving, manipulative Nigerian who's just trying to use her for a green card. Yeah, he's once again the man that she fell in love with. So they go to the mechanic to get his car fixed. Okay, whatever. Then they go see a marriage counselor, and Angela accuses Michael of being cruel. That's crazy. When she's the one that's constantly yelling and screaming in his face, cussing him out, throwing things at him, just being so awful to him, but she accuses him of being cruel because he has an Instagram account. The counselor asks him if there's anything that they haven't told the other. Michael's adamant that he has not cheated on Angela. He's got nothing to reveal to her. He's not harboring any secrets. Angela then tells him that Instagram Billy. She says that she only started her relationship with Instagram Billy, not Instagram Billy, TikTok Billy. She only started her relationship with TikTok Billy, like duetting him and all of that, because she wanted to get Michael's attention because Michael wasn't giving her the attention that she was needing after her, major weight loss. And it all backfired on her. But then she began to develop a TikTok crush on Billy, and she also began to really care for him because he's got kidney disease. And so she had promised Billy that she was going to go see him in Canada, because of the fact that, he's got this disease, and she wanted to be a friend to him, and so she had promised to go see him. So Michael says, you're not going anywhere. And when he said that, it was like his voice all of a sudden got all this bass in it, he sounded so manly and demanding. He was like, you're not going anywhere. And so the counselor tells Michael, well, she says she had a crush on Billy. She no longer has a crush on Billy, and you should trust her. So, you should let her go to Canada because you should, show her that you trust her. And obviously that is not going to sit well with Michael at all. It wouldn't sit well with any man, period. So we'll see how that goes. Finally, we end on Ed and Liz. So they go to Arkansas, which is where Ed is from. And they're going to go there also for their second engagement party and for Liz to meet the rest of Ed's family. They arrive in Bentonville, Arkansas. Ed is telling Liz about his upbringing. He's one of 6 children, and that his parents had divorced when he was a senior in high school. He really hated his dad after the divorce, but at some point he ended up making peace and forgiving his father before his father passed away 10 years ago. He takes her to his old high school. He used to run track there, and he even kind of, he also kind of demonstrated a little run for her. So that was, all of that was, all nice. And then they go to Ed's sister's house for dinner. Ed, the sister talks to Ed about their mom, saying that, I talk to mom all the time. Mom is always asking about you. And so it seems like, you should probably try to reach out to her and try to make nice with her because, she misses you. She still cares about you. And I'm trying to let mom know that you are a grown man. You're 50 something years old, and that she needs to let you make your own decisions when it comes to your relationships. And she needs to basically butt out. So Ed says he hasn't spoken to his mom in about a year. So hopefully he'll get that together. The sister, so then the sister asks Liz, how does she feel about going to the engagement party? Liz says she's extremely nervous because she's worried that if Ed's family does not like her, then Ed will not go through with marrying her. Yeah, it just still blows my mind that Liz wants Ed so much. And not even because of the way he looks, not at all. Simply because I think he's really nasty to her. I don't like how he talks to her. I don't like how he treats her. The things that he says to her, the things that they say to each other. It's a very it's a very nasty relationship when they get mad. So it just boggles my mind that she wants to marry this man so bad when he can be so mean to her. And maybe she's also mean to him. I don't know. I don't really know their history. All I know is what I've seen on this particular franchise. And every time they've had issues, Ed is the one that comes with the most vicious things. He says the most vicious things to her. So I just don't get it. But yeah, that is my little review of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. Thank you so much for joining me. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later.